As a historian, I believe the historical significance of our nation's independence varies from people to people. And that's a beautiful thing because people interpret it how they want. And for me, I think about those individuals who came together knowing that they were embarking upon a process that could result in hostilities between the colonies and the British. And they did it anyway. And will you ever see a group of individuals that will come together again like that? And we all know the historical figures that emerged from that process. So they had a vision, they were determined, and that's something that has resulted in the construction of one of the greatest nations in the history of humanity. And I think you can take a lot of pride in that.
I think it's more about the awareness of it being a significant milestone in the sense that, usually July 4th, you start seeing the red, white, and blue stuff. You start seeing that, at the end of June, it starts kind of popping up. But I feel like the red, white, and blue stuff has been out for months now, and it's on our radar, and we're very much paying attention. I think I don't know if this was planned or not, that the World Cup is coinciding with our 250th, because I don't know if you've been watching the videos, but it's been really cool to watch people from other countries that are visiting the United States and what their perspective of our country is being here for the first time. And it's all been very positive. And so I think that all of those things kind of coming together with this kind of heightened awareness of it, and then the World Cup being here, and so the spotlight being on the United States and people getting to give their own outsider's perspective of our country and our people. I think that's really enhanced it, even though, and I like soccer, but I'm not like a soccer fanatic, but watching people's responses to our country has been one of the more exciting parts of that for me. And I think anytime, and this again, every year, July 4th, I feel like gives us this opportunity. Anytime we can kind of put stuff aside and come together and just have a common ground to be happy about something, that's great. And so, but I think this is amplified because it's the 250th. And I think, for people who've studied history or people who know about politics, we know that, the United States is the longest democracy that's existed. And it's arguable what's number two based on how you define that. But I think it serves as a great kind of beacon of hope that the longer that we have established ourselves, and every year is significant, but these big milestones are especially significant because they bring so much more attention and we really celebrate it. And so I think that's very powerful. Yeah.
The 250th anniversary of our country has caused me to evaluate who we are, how we serve people, and what that means. Obviously, a lot of our ancestors were immigrants to this country. And where are we today as we protect our borders, but yet still provide that welcoming environment for the hope that we represent as a country? That exploration also consistently and continuously ebbs and flows depending on the politics of the country at the time, depending on different cases that we're working on, or even our students and their needs and pleas as well.
I think this is a good time, for people to reflect, especially in our times today, right? I think, our country is very divided. And I think it's a good time, the 250-year anniversary is a good time to reflect on the meaning of democracy. What does it mean to us, and how important it is, and what it requires, right? So it's not just about it's not just a theoretical, ideal, right? It's more also of a responsibility, what responsibilities we have to make sure that this democracy continues to function. And, I always think, nothing's perfect, right? And so, if you read, you read things and it sounds great, Declaration of Independence, wow, that's beautiful, right? All men are created equal, and these things are wonderful, right? Ideally, there is an ideal there. No one lives up to those ideals all the time, right? So, and we understand that, and so we're not a perfect country, but we still have a responsibility, I think, to continue to improve and sustain that democracy. And so that's what it means to me. I think it's a time of reflection and responsibility.
How far we've come as a nation, and celebrating not just independence from a king, but celebrating the American freedom that's associated with that. It goes beyond just being free from a sovereign ruler. It goes into having the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the very things that make us really one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest country in the world. It's great to be as a first generation American, and I will point that out. My parents were both immigrants, and as a first generation American, to me, it's just a beautiful experience to live. And having visited the old country, which is Mexico, you really begin to appreciate the nuances and differences that the liberties that we enjoy here that aren't necessarily enjoyed in other countries. So it's really about that, and it's remarkable that it's endured as long as it has. And I look forward to celebrating 300 years. Hopefully, I probably won't be around for that, but